name is Melissa Mercedes. I am a plus-size designer. A friend of mine had actually sent me the application for the Cultivate Awards. I was speechless when I found out that I had won, including winning the opportunity to design my very own capsule collection with Eloquia. We started with our hero print, a beautiful pattern inspired by my mother's favorite flower. I wanted to have a style for everyone, so there's suiting and sequined pieces in bold prints and fresh colors. Also, flowy feminine dresses with the right touch of flirtiness with cut-out details. Together, we created the ultimate capsule assortment. This collection will take you from brunch to a night out on the town. It was important to me that we create something together that would make customers feel empowered and confident as they move through the world. And I think we've done just that. Hello, my name is Melissa Mercedes, and this is my testimony. My journey begins in New York City about 5 years ago. I was working for a nonprofit organization and I was a counselor. At the time, I was in a bad head place. I was overworked, underpaid, all around negative, hanging around negative, toxic people, not taking care of myself in any capacity, not drinking water, not taking vitamins, and I was feeling very depleted and defeated. One day I was in my office and I was alone, just working, very quiet, no music or anything playing, and I literally heard God say, if you quit your job, your life would be so much better. And I know that sounds crazy because who hears God's voice, but I know what I heard. And I immediately knew that I had to take action. If you hear from the big man upstairs, you move. Without hesitation, I quit because I knew that if he had spoken to me and I was honored enough to hear his voice, that the message that he was giving me was profound. I quit the very next day, and a week after I quit, my mom got sick. She was in the hospital for about 3 weeks before she passed. If I hadn't quit my job, I wouldn't have been able to be with my mom in her final moments taking care of her. So quitting my job and listening to God was a blessing because I was able to care for my mother during her final moments. My mom was my mom, my dad, my best friend, all in one, and she was gone. It took time for me to repair myself. During this time, I read, I reflected, I journaled. I spent time alone with God and really tried to listen to what he was telling me to do and how to move next. I remember one day in particular, one morning, it was about 9 a.m. on like a random Friday, and I was meditating on, what makes me the happiest and what would really fulfill me. And I remember God saying, move to LA and pursue your dream in fashion. Now, this to me was such a foreign concept. I had family, 2 cousins that lived in LA, but to uproot my whole life and just leave everything behind was a little absurd to me. But my husband and I planned a trip to LA and just to kind of see and scout, and we honestly fell in love. We knew that was the move for us. So we sold our house, we packed up our bags, moved our children to Los Angeles. After settling in and adjusting to this new life in California, my now ex-husband and I were going through a separation. We had realized once we moved here that we were no longer on the same page, and it was in our best interest to kind of part ways and go on our paths individually. Losing my husband and my family unit, was another death for me. It was the biggest loss of them all because I worked so hard to protect my family unit, and here I was failing at, to me, what was the most important role of my life. Reluctant to make the move, but I knew that it was for my best. We separated. It's been 4 years now, and I can honestly say that I'm in such an amazing place in my life, And I know he is too. I think it was definitely, for the betterment of the both of us. Um, but man, making that decision was just, it was horrific. Um, Having to deal with not only my feelings but my children's feelings throughout the divorce was just very, very difficult. And I heard about other people going through a divorce, but I really didn't know what it entailed or what that was like until I experienced it myself. And that's literally one of the hardest things. I would say is very close to death. And maybe, I don't know if it's harder because the person is still alive and you still have to see them, but you're like living with all these feelings of what went wrong. During this time when I moved here, I decided to focus on myself and create a brand, uh, which was what God had originally wanted me to do. So I created a brand for plus size women and a luxury line for curvy women in Hollywood who are struggling with finding gowns to wear to events. And I am so happy to report that after 4 years of starting, I'm in an amazing place. My line has been worn by many different celebrities, from Tyra Banks to Tess Holliday to Cheeky Rivera, and it's just been such a blessing. And I just encourage everyone, when times get hard, to just lean on God and keep on going. I would honestly say that my life has changed for the better. And although I'm still struggling, putting the pieces back together, I can look back at my most difficult moments and see without hesitation where God was and where he showed up for me. I know that I've lost a lot of people along the way, but every time I lost someone, God replaced with someone better. With every, opportunity that I didn't get, I got something better. And, sometimes like it's so cliche, but like they say, uh, what's the saying? Rejection is redirection. And when I look back on my journey and I look back at the most difficult parts, I just see evidence of God walking right next to me the whole way. There was never a time, I mean, I struggled heavily financially, but there was never a time where I was, hungry or my children were hungry, or, whenever I needed something, it would just show up somehow. Or if I was in need of support or friendships, like people would show up and I knew that it was God. So I'm just so honored to be able to share my story. And I just hope that it encourages someone and gives hope, because it does get better. And even in your most difficult times, you can just look at the details and you will see that God is right there walking alongside with you.
When do you feel like your darkest season was?
That's a great question because I think I've had several.
Hmm.
But I think my most darkest was when my mom passed away. Um, it was something that was very sudden and unexpected, and I just remember like not being able to like see life without her, or not being able to just understand like why everything was happening the way that it did. So I would say that that was probably one of my darkest seasons. And then my second darkest season would be when I ended my marriage.
So, as you were going through both of those, what was the ammunition that helped you through those seasons?
I would say the motivation to heal so that my kids can get a better version of me. That was always like my main goal. It was like, okay, well, I just need to be better for them. And however that looks like, whatever road it takes me to get there, the end goal needs to be that I need to be at my absolute best so that I can give them the absolute best of me. So that was always like the ammunition that kept me going.
What is motivating you now to help other women?
I think there's so much power in people's testimony. Sometimes you go through something and, kind of what is the point of it if you can't share your story and help bring someone else into the light or help give them a hand. I know for me, like I wouldn't be the woman that I am if I haven't had strong women around me, aiding me, helping me, giving me a hand. So I just kind of want to, I feel like I was put here to, to help and to heal. Um, so yeah, I would say that that's it for me, is just being able to be that source for women, to let them know that it's going to be okay, to let them know that, like, to be an example of, you can go through something and still come out on top.
Mhm. And even with your business, how do you what is motivating you to help other women in that aspect?
I mean, I think my business is geared towards plus size women. I, design dresses for women who are curvy and can't find clothes in stores. So off the bat, my business is to empower women, and it's just to kind of highlight, it doesn't matter what size you are. It's all about loving yourself and accepting yourself where you are, having grace with yourself, um, and just knowing that no matter the size, you can still look beautiful. And so my whole business is just centered around uplifting women no matter your size, and instilling confidence.
What would you say to other women that are going through similar situations that you have overcome? A woman going through divorce, a woman who has lost a parent or a friend.
I think I would tell women who are struggling with similar situations to hang in there. It does get better. I know that, when you're in the thick of it, there just doesn't seem like there's an end to the suffering and the pain. So, allow yourself to have bad days, allow yourself to grieve, like allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to eat the ice cream, allow yourself, like, I mean, I'm from the school of like get up and, like, fight and you keep going, but also, like, I've learned that you have to allow yourself to grieve. Like, of course you're going to grieve a parent or someone who passed away that was close, or if you even, just deciding to end a marriage, like, that's so tough, and it's okay to be sad. So I think giving yourself that grief, that grace, and knowing that it does get better. It does, it's a slow process, but it one day you will wake up and you will be like, wow, I feel less sad. And like each day that comes, you just feel better and better and better. So just be patient with yourself and allow yourself the time to heal.
Patience and grace, you mentioned grace. Those are two big things when it comes to healing because it's a journey. It's not just a point where it's like, okay, I'm here. It's like, oh, okay, I've made it this far. Okay, got to keep going. And like you said, your motivation and your ammunition is doing it for your kids. Do you feel like, because what I feel like when I'm talking to you is that you are an example to women that don't know how to heal in the ways that you have. Do you feel like you had that example?
I do. I feel like my mom was my example of healing. She fought very hard to heal and to be great for me and my sister. So I feel like the example that I had from my mom, um, is kind of like like a motivation for me to do the same. My mom was also a divorcee, and she was a single mom, and she was in the World Trade Center on the 78th floor, and she did escape and make it out, but she went through a lot of trauma, and just coping with, um, having gone through that and seeing her process and giving herself the grace and allowing herself to grieve and just going through it just made me realize what a queen and, what a fighter, warrior that I had as a mom. So I kind of really want to be the same example to my children and other women as well.